Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking. It means a lot if you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And it's unofficially official. Survivor 43 and 44 will both be 26 days. It's confirmed. In fact, 43 has now finished filming. 44 should start filming soon. And I want to talk about it. I mean, this is devastating. I mean, we were hoping, that this was just a COVID thing, and that's what they originally kind of told us. I mean, they never said that out loud. In fact, Jeff actually did the opposite, hinted to us that it was here to stay. But to me, it's a very, very disappointing thing to hear. I was really hoping that the show would go back to the 39-day format. I find that format to be quite honestly real Survivor, and this to me feels like Survivor Light. But I'll save my thoughts for the actual video. Before we start, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff because it's free, it's easy, and it really helps the channel out. And if that's it, let's get into it. Okay, so first, how do we know that the season will most likely be 26 days? So on the Inside Survivor website, which is the biggest Survivor leaking website that we have at this point and the most credible, it's actually run by a guy named Redman who has, I guess, connections to production. The site says under the 43 cast leak, it says the 43rd season of Survivor is currently filming in Fiji's Manamuku Islands and will feature 18 new castaways divided into 3 tribes, as with Survivor 41 and 42. The season will last for 26 days. It says it right there. Now, obviously, this isn't official, but this is pretty much confirmed. Inside Survivor has rarely ever gotten things wrong, and they're pretty cautious with what they claim. They really make sure that they have good sources for their leaks and info, and so this should be taken as an unofficial announcement that the season will be shortened. And this is super disappointing to me. Again, as I said earlier, I think 26-day seasons are like Survivor Light. It really doesn't feel like regular Survivor. The players actually seem more exhausted because the show has to make up for the fact that there's less days, and 26 days just sounds like a week. They instead starve the players and don't give them any food and make them work extra hard for stuff, which to me only makes the players more exhausted and therefore makes the gameplay in the game more lackluster because the players just aren't mentally there. Now, I'm not saying play Big Brother on an island and give them tons of food and bottled water and stuff, but just go back to the old game, which we've seen is balanced enough so that the right players can rise above the others and really start playing the game hard. I feel like Tony would not have had the energy to play the game like he did in his 2 seasons if he played in this new era where everyone's just mentally fatigued and exhausted. I think it leads to players being incentivized to just float through the game. I mean, because obviously everyone's so exhausted that if someone's scheming, you're just like, get them out of the game right now. I just cannot mentally deal with that. And I think it's led to 2 very lackluster winners that have kind of just flown under the radar and kind of floated around the game and been on the bottom. I also think the lack of swaps in this new era, which obviously if 26 days is any indicator, we're probably going to continue to have less swaps, which is not really fun for me either, as people will stay true to their pre-merge bonds more often than their post-merge alliances, simply just because of the fact that they're with their pre-merge alliance for much longer in comparison. For an example, in a 39-day game, after 3 votes, you've been with your merge tribe for 9 days, whereas in the game of this modern era, you could go 3 votes on your merge tribe and it only be 3 or 4 days, which is crazy, if there's like a double boot here or there. So to me, it is dangerous because players will just stay loyal to their pre-merge alliances, and maybe a few will flip, but it's not going to just like turn itself on its head. The game will stay more stagnant, and I think it's not really good for the strategy element of the game. Is it permanent, or do we kind of smoothly ride out of it as COVID becomes like a non-factor, like absolutely gone, which I don't think is anytime soon, but maybe in a few years when COVID is so low, like the risk just isn't even there. Their ratings haven't necessarily plummeted. Obviously from the start of 41 to now, the ratings have basically gone down 1 million from about 6.3 million to around now where it's basically settling around 5.7, although it's gone all the way as low as 4 million. So it's kind of on the uptick right now after this good season, but it's ended up after these 2 seasons that were filmed back to back ended up losing about 700,000 viewers, which is bad. I mean, it's a net negative, but it isn't show ending. It definitely is not cancel worthy ratings, right? They're still the highest rated show on CBS in their time slot, and I believe actually on their day, which is super impressive. So the show knows that it can still quote unquote get away with it, but obviously they also know that they're making a worse product. I mean, people have been very negative on these 2 seasons, more positive on 42, but still pretty negative on both seasons, especially 41. So I think the production knows that they're getting a negative response, and they know that they've lost some viewers, but they realize that the amount of money and time that they're saving is just so much more worth it for them as the people but behind the camera. And the few hate comments and the drop in like 700,000 viewers is worth saving all that money, all of that time, all of those filming days, not having to go home and then come back and then go home and then come back to Fiji over and over again. It just saves time and money, and it's obviously a meticulous business decision, which to me just it's gross. But of course, what do you expect when you give a corporation an ability to make the product cheaper and not really lose too many of their customers? They're going to take that because obviously they have to deliver the profit to their shareholders. And so I leave Survivor with this question: how many viewers, how many hate comments is it going to take before you finally realize that you're ruining the show? Yes, 700,000 viewers may seem minuscule to you now, but that may turn into 1.5 million. That turns into 3 million. And all of a sudden, your show is not even the highest ranked show on CBS in its time slot, which is depressing, honestly. I see the show going in a very clear direction of it's on the downtick, and it's either going to be like the Dark Ages, similar to how 21 through to 2024 was, or it's just going to be a permanent Dark Ages, and the show is going to go down, and eventually it'll get canceled, probably around season 50, and they'll just go out with one last great, nice, epic returnee season, which to me is so sad. I'd much rather the show keep on fighting, but I just don't see it with the way that production is handling these 2 seasons. So I think overall, Survivor needs to buckle up and do better, because people like me who are crazy for the show will always stay. I'll stay no matter how woke, no matter how crazy, no matter how ridiculous, or no matter how bad, no matter how boring the show gets. I'll always stay because it's a big part of my life. But those 5 million viewers, not all of them will do the exact same. But what do you think? Do you actually like 26-day seasons? Give me your argument down below if you do. If you don't, you can complain with me, because I am just as angry as you are about this one. As always, none of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm sure you guys been a weird microphone. As always, thank you for the support. And if that's it, I'll talk to you guys in the next one.